Several countries and international organizations have joined the efforts to assist Lebanon following the devastating blasts in Beirut. Protests continue in Chile to reject the racism and violence against the Mapuche community. The number of COVID-19 cases in Africa has now surpassed 1 million, with more than half registered in South Africa. From the headquarters of Telesur English in Havana, Cuba, this is From the South, I'm Katrina Goss. The Secretary General of the Arab League has called on the international community to accelerate the delivery of humanitarian aid to Lebanon following the disaster in Beirut. Secretary General Ahmed Aboul-Gheit also urged Arab relief organizations to support the recovery efforts, while noting the need for an urgent international movement to help Lebanon overcome the catastrophe. And earlier this Thursday, our correspondent in Lebanon, Rafi Ibrahim, spoke to people on the ground assisting the recovery efforts in Beirut.
Hello, what's your name?
My name is Chloe.
Are you from Lebanon?
Yes, I am Lebanese and I study in Madrid.
What are you doing here?
I'm helping the people of Beirut whose homes are damaged.
What are you going to do here? What kind of aid?
We go to people's homes and help them. If they need food or something else, we provide it for them.
How do you feel? Do you feel hopeful that Lebanon will overcome the situation?
I am very grateful for the help of foreign people and the presence of President Macron here. It is very good. Also grateful for the help of all the countries that have sent humanitarian aid to Lebanon. People and health supplies. It is very good. I am very grateful for all the people here that are helping people that have lost their homes and all they had.
Thank you very much, very kind of you.
No, thank you.
The Algerian Red Crescent Society has prepared aid packages for Lebanon following the deadly explosion rocked its capital. Over 200 tons of mainly food products are to be sent to the disaster-stricken city of Beirut. According to statements, the organisation intends to send further humanitarian aid shipments every day. Several countries and international organisations have joined the efforts to assist Lebanon, sending food and medical aid as well as support personnel.
The President of the Republic has decided to send aid to the Lebanese people. 200 tons of food products are being sent. The Ministry of Trade collected the aid and the Algerian Red Crescent is supervising the operation. A shipment will be sent every day through the military airport of Bufari until other operations can be set up.
Hundreds of Palestinians held a candlelit vigil on Wednesday to express their condolences and support the Lebanese people. Residents of the city of Rafah in the south of the Gaza Strip paid tribute to the victims of the explosions in Beirut on Tuesday. Meanwhile, in the city of Khan Yunis, dozens participated in a blood donation campaign to help Lebanese health authorities in the recovery of the thousands injured.
We are here in solidarity with our dear Lebanese people and we wish them peace. We send all our prayers to the Lebanese people from the besieged people of Gaza.
We are here in solidarity with our dear Lebanese people and we wish them peace. We send all our prayers to the Lebanese from the besieged people of Gaza.
Residents of Yemen's southwestern city of Taiz gathered to show their solidarity with Lebanon after the massive explosions that destroyed large parts of central Beirut.
Today the people of Taiz, from all affiliations, with all their humanity and Arabism, raised the Lebanese and Yemeni flags and message to say we love you, and that Beirut will not die. We stand in solidarity with Beirut, with Lebanon, with the people of Lebanon. Flags were raised in Cairo Castle, in solidarity with the Lebanese people.
Iraqi officials reported a massive fire in more than 20 warehouses of wholesale markets in the central city of Najaf this Wednesday. Fire brigades from other provinces of the country were sent to the scene to control the flames. Local sources believe the fire was caused by an electrical malfunction. Despite the serious material and economic damages, no deaths have been reported. The warehouses are one of the main points of sale in the city. And we'll be right back after this short break, so don't go away. Welcome back to From the South. In Chile, Mapuche political prisoners have refused to take part in the government's so-called intercultural talks. The 8 Mapuche political prisoners on a hunger strike at the Angol prison decided on Wednesday that they would no longer drink water due to the lack of progress in talks with the government of President Sebastián Piñera. Leader of the prisoners, Rodrigo Curipan, stated that they would not take part in the intercultural talks organised by the Ministry of Justice on Friday, which will bring together Mapuche leaders, academics and other professionals. Rodrigo added that for them, these meetings do not respond to the critical situation of the 27 Mapuche prisoners held in different prisons in the Araucanía and Biobío regions, and have little to do with a critical view and openness on the implementation of the International Labour Organization's Convention No. 169 on indigenous and tribal peoples. And protesters once again took to the streets in Chile demanding the release of Mapuche political prisoners and an end to racism and discrimination. Likewise, they have called on the entire Chilean population to join the mobilizations.
We demand freedom for our brothers who are carrying out a hunger strike, because our brother in Angol prison also stopped drinking liquids, together with the other brothers in Temuco prison, to demand their freedom and Convention 169. And also to say that we do not want any more raids of Mapuche communities. Today we want to make a call for action, to go out to the streets with your Mapuche flag, because there were lots of people that went out with their Mapuche flag during the social unrest. That is why we have made this call, so that we protest, so that this does not go unpunished. No more discrimination against the Mapuche people. We demand freedom for all Mapuche political prisoners.
The Chilean Senate held a special session to address the conflict in the Wall-Mapu region and the hunger strike being conducted by Mapuche political prisoners. The debate was marked by the apologies of several Congress members for not being able to provide solutions. There was a broad call to condemn violence in the Araucanía region, known as Maupu to Mapuches, and to face up to the challenges of a necessary dialogue. Senator Juan Ignacio Latorre, President of the Human Rights Committee of the Upper House, highlighted his concern about the ongoing hunger strike, while showing that an attempt will be made to establish a high-level platform for talks.
I think that the hunger strike is an urgent issue to be addressed. The Human Rights Commission of the Senate asked for a direct conversation with the Minister of Justice or some high-level minister, a special platform to reach agreements, to negotiate, to talk.
Talks between Bolivia's Supreme Electoral Tribunal and the Bolivian Workers' Center, the country's chief trade union federation, as well as other social organizations, failed to reach an agreement over the electoral date, which was postponed to October 18th. The president of the Supreme Electoral Tribunal, Salvador Romero, announced the failure of the negotiations while highlighting that no change had been made and the elections would still take place on October 18th. Meanwhile, representatives of workers and social organizations have stressed that the move by the electoral body is an example of bowing to pressure from the de facto government. The Trade Union Federation called an indefinite general strike at the beginning of the week to demand that the vote be held on the previously agreed date of September 6. Widespread protests have blocked the main roads and highways in 6 of 9 Bolivian provinces for the past 4 days.
The Supreme Electoral Tribunal is working according to the electoral date that was defined and stipulated for the voting day on Sunday, October 18th. We are working on that line. We have not stopped working on a single day to advance with the preparation of all the electoral material, with the preparation of all activities. We want to ensure an election day in the country with clean and transparent elections, and that it is the commitment of the organization.
And this Thursday, Bolivia is celebrating its Independence Day in the midst of the ongoing social unrest and political persecution by the de facto regime since the coup against President Evo Morales last year.
This August 6th, Bolivia commemorates its 195th anniversary of independence from Spain. On July 1825, the Chuquisaca Deliberative Assembly proclaimed the entire independence of the provinces of the Upper Peru and drafted Bolivia's first republican constitution, which was later signed on 6th August 1825. This date also marks a tribute to Bolivia's independence patriots, among them the liberator Simón Bolívar, Marshal Antonio José de Sucre, the indigenous Aymara leader Tupac Katari, the indigenous heroine Bartolina Sisa, and guerrilla military leader Juana Arzurdui.
Progressive foreign policy groups in the United States recently created the Alliance for Cuba Engagement and Respect. The Progressive Alliance, also known as ACERE, seeks to improve relations between the United States and Cuba following the setback in relations under the Trump administration and the failure of bills promoted in the House of Representatives to lift the coercive economic measures against the Caribbean nation. The alliance brings together NGOs such as Code Pink and different Christian organizations who are attempting to influence the position of Democratic Congress members, urging the easing of measures against Cuba for humanitarian reasons. Cuban health authorities offered an update on COVID-19 cases this Thursday.
As a result of the analysis of these samples, where 49 people were tested positive yesterday, very high COVID-19 figures in our country. In this way, we have a cumulative sample size of 285,471 and 2,775 people, which represents 0.97% of the total number of the testing for COVID-19.
And the Cuban Director of Epidemiology also reported new COVID-19 recoveries.
Yesterday, there were 13 discharges in our country, a number consistent with the cases diagnosed a few days ago. Nevertheless, the number is at a disadvantage compared with the number of cases confirmed yesterday. This way, 87.8% of the positive cases so far diagnosed have recovered. We are talking about 2,409 people.
On Thursday, the governor of the U.S. state of Ohio, Mike DeWine, tested positive for COVID-19 just ahead of a planned meeting with President Donald Trump. The governor's office said he took the test at an airport in Cleveland as part of standard protocol in preparation for President Trump's visit to Ohio. DeWine, an early advocate of wearing masks, said that his diagnosis did not lessen the importance of wearing a mask and practicing social distancing. The Republican governor's early and aggressive response to the coronavirus won him praise from health experts and rebukes from within his party. Meanwhile, the number of coronavirus cases continues to rise in the United States, which has reported over 5 million cases and more than 162,000 fatalities.
I feel fine, have a headache. The lesson should come from this is that we're all human. This virus is everywhere. This virus is very tough. And yes, you can contract it even when you're being very, very careful and even when you're wearing a mask. But your odds are just dramatically better.
And we have more stories coming up after this final short break, so stay with us. Welcome back to From the South. The number of COVID-19 cases in Africa has now risen to over 1 million, with more than half registered in South Africa. The continent's worst-hit nation has now confirmed over 538,000 cases, including over 8,000 new cases reported on Thursday. Meanwhile, South Africa's death toll stands at over 9,600. Egypt comes second in the African continent, having reported just over 95,000 cases, followed by Nigeria, which has confirmed almost 45,000. Mauritanian President Mohamed Ould Ghazouani has appointed a new Prime Minister just hours after the previous government resigned. Prime Minister Ismail Ould Cheikh Sidibé announced his resignation and that of the entire government this Thursday amid an investigation into alleged high-level corruption. President Ghazouani appointed veteran public administrator Mohamed Ould Bilal as Prime Minister. The political system in Mauritania has been rocked this year by a parliamentary investigation into alleged corruption in the government of former President Mohamed Ould Abdel Aziz, who stepped down last year after a decade in power.
I tendered the government's resignation to the president. It was an opportunity to thank him for the trust he had placed in me during that period. I would also like to take this opportunity to thank the government team for the efforts made throughout this period in the service of Mauritania and its people.
Schools have reopened in Nigeria under strict COVID-19 preventative measures.
Teachers not to ensure that they keep their social distance from students. It's usually hard for teachers because there's a certain level of physical interaction that you want. But in this case, this is an emergency, and so we've done a lot of training for the teachers to help them, to guide them through this rather difficult stage.
I just lost hope that, okay, we're not going to resume this year. There's no need for me to be reading. Well, now that we have resumed school, I feel very happy and fulfilled. Even though the fear of contracting the virus is still there, I was still putting my best efforts to put in the safety measures to protect myself from contracting the virus.
We've been taught to wash our hands regularly, to observe social distance with our peers whenever we're talking, and we should use our face masks always. And I'm sure with all this put in place, I will go home safe the way I came to school.
Congolese authorities announced the withdrawal of Zambian troops from disputed border territories this Thursday.
The report of the SADC mission carried out from the 22nd to the 29th of July 2020 led to Zambia's recognition that the border territories of Kalumbamba and Kibanga that it had occupied belong to the Democratic Republic of the Congo. As of August 4th, 2020, our competent services and all Congolese and foreign officials have noted the effective withdrawal of Zambian troops. The Joint Committee also ordered the installation of the provisional border pillars, pending the construction of the final border pillars and the use of durable materials. This, of course, has not put an end to all aspects of this dispute, which will continue to be the subject of negotiations between the two parties.
Spain's health ministry has denied that the country is facing a second wave of COVID-19 infections, despite a spike in cases in recent days. According to the Spanish government's own figures, over the past 7 days, more than 19,000 new COVID-19 cases have been confirmed, representing an average of nearly 2,800 per day. A week earlier, the rate was an average 1,900 cases per day, and the week before that, the daily figure was 1,400. The European nation is one of the most badly hit by the novel coronavirus, registering more than 350,000 cases, while the death toll stands at 28,500.
It is true that calling this a second wave has a technical component. I would not call it a second wave until we have uncontrolled community transmission that really represents an increase in transmission, and not just that. We detect a lot more of it. But it is true that there is also a part of the concept that is very semantic. It's a great concept that's quite fuzzy. The same situation in some cases could be called a second wave. In others, it's not. We have more detection, and that means in the data we detect more cases. This does not mean, please do not misunderstand, that we do not continue to have transmission. We continue to have, and therefore this data is real, but it is difficult to compare it with previous months.
And a campaign has been launched in Spain to demand that the government remove the royal title of King Emeritus from former Spanish King Juan Carlos following recent corruption scandals. The honorary lifetime title was awarded to Juan Carlos after his abdication in 2014 by the government of Mariano Rajoy. Spanish newspaper Público, responsible for launching the campaign, argued that the honour can be withdrawn immediately by the current government. Over 35,000 people have already signed the proposal, which also seeks to rename avenues, parks and public institutions which were named after the king, including the King Juan Carlos University in Madrid. Meanwhile, public discontent surrounding the Spanish crown has grown in recent days following corruption revelations and the fleeing of Juan Carlos to the Dominican Republic. The United Kingdom reimposed quarantine for travellers from Andorra, Belgium and the Bahamas on Thursday, following a spike in coronavirus cases in those countries. Secretary of State for Transport Grant Shapps announced the measure on his Twitter account, noting that passengers arriving in the UK after 4 a.m. on Saturday from these countries would need to self-isolate for 14 days in order to try and keep infection rates down. And we've come to the end of this news brief, but you can find these and many other stories on our website at telesoenglish.net. You can also join us on social media, Facebook, Twitter and Instagram. For Teleso English, I'm Katrina Goss, and thank you for watching.